All right, howdy, you guys. Today we're going to talk about West. Are you done? Done? Okay. We're going to talk about West Austin. We have a bunch of neighborhoods in this area actually because it's rather large, but they're kind of similar to a degree. There's a long range, there's a big range between them. We start with the intro and then we're going into the slides. So, howdy everyone. Thank you for joining me today for the live stream about West Austin. Let's see, what do I mean when I say West? This is the area that we're going to cover. We have Steiner, we have Jester, we have Grandview, Lakeway, BK, the Hills. We have a bunch of areas for this region. It's one of my favorite regions from the perspective of quality of life. The schools in this area is they're excellent. You have proximity to the lake, but you're a bit more, a bit skewed towards the west. I'm from the north, and unfortunately for me, the north and the west are not properly connected. We have like the 620 road, and it's a bad road. So let's see what are the market trends for this area. And I remind you, whether you're in YouTube or Facebook or whatever, you can leave comments, you can leave questions. I'm going to refer to all of them, so please participate. You are more than welcome to do it. Starting with the volume. So what we're seeing with the volume is, well, pretty much stable. We're seeing like 89 properties sold on April, 91 properties sold on March, about 80 properties sold on February. Stability is the name of the game. We see an increase in the median close price. It's not even median actually, it's the total close prices to the volume. But when we're looking at the median close price, we're seeing it's again kind of stable between April and March. And generally speaking, with regards to the market dip since the interest rate went way up, we didn't see as big of a dip in the West compared to other regions. We've seen, I think, at max something like 20%, like top to bottom. We're going to see this on the spreadsheet later, and if you have questions about it, I can show it to you. But it was a bit more stable compared to other areas, and I'm not sure that I know why. If you have any comments about it, leave them down below. Days on market, we're seeing them being reduced. You can see the trend from 60 to about 50 to 37, up to 19 days right now. Properties still stay a bit longer here, but it makes sense because they're more expensive. What are we seeing with the close price per square feet? We're seeing stability again. And unlike other properties, when we see an upwards trend here, we're seeing kind of stability. So $300 per square feet, median price sold. Days on market are being reduced in April, but the under contract properties, I'm saying like 40 days. So I think a lot of the properties are properties that are new construction. So maybe that's the key. But when we go to the year built, we'll see how many new constructions we have there. What about the price difference? I remind, for those of you who are new to the live stream, in the light red, we're seeing the original list price of the seller compared to the closed price. In the red, we're seeing the final price difference between the list price and the closed price. And we're seeing that in the West, we are still closing properties for not too small a gap. We're seeing almost 20 grand of a difference between the list to closed price. When we're looking at the quote-unquote delusional factor, so the price difference between original list and final close was a lot larger in December and January. It's being reduced, but it's still there. So sellers are still listing their houses for too much and then have to close or settle for a lower price point. So the takeaways for these sections are: the prices did not take as big of a hit compared to other areas. They have been stabilized. We are at the $300 per square foot. Median, remember, per type of properties, we need to look case by case. The days on market have been decreasing, but they're not as short as some of the other markets we've seen in Austin. If you've been in the live stream for North Austin or for Central Austin, we've seen even a single digit days on market. But here we do see 19s, it's about 3 weeks median. So it still takes a tiny bit of time to close a place in the West. Any questions about this section so far? All right, let's look at the sales data. So the majority of the homes in this area are being sold anywhere between the 600 to 900 grand, and you can see this in the data here. So as the green becomes greener, the price becomes pricier. You can see it here. The total sales you can see in blue, and we're seeing that in this price range, the 600 to 900, consistently we have the most amount of properties. Then we have some properties that like a mil and above, and we have some properties that are over 2 million, not a lot in the luxury market that we're going to cover later in the month. We're going to look at those properties. Oh yeah, and one more thing, the cheaper properties are typically condos. So below 600, typically it's going to be a condo. You don't really get like single families in that price point. Look at the size group and the big surge at the end. This is interesting, and these are the luxury places. So we're seeing that for properties below 1,800 square foot, they sell for around 500, less than 2,500 square feet, about 660, more, less than 3,200, about 850, less than 4,000, about a mil point one, and these are still the quote unquote, I don't know how to call it, say like the normal home. And then for more than 4,000 square feet, we see a huge price change between 1.1 to 2. These are the luxury properties, the ones that are close to the lake, the ones that have some really nice amenities. You can see the price per square foot also surges as we are going to the larger class of properties. How much inventory do we see? Well, we have a bunch, right? Look at this, like more than 4,000 square feet. We do see 13 properties in April, 15 properties in March. So there is inventory, there is luxury inventory there. Most of it is between like, well, you know what? We have like an even distribution, right? It's pretty much even a distribution between the various classes of properties. And I like seeing this, by the way, in an area. It means that you have like all kinds of properties for sale. So even if you want a smaller place, you can still get it as long as the budget fits. What type of properties are being sold? Well, we can see that between 3 to 4 bedrooms is the typical range. Most of them are the 4 bedrooms, and we do have more than 5. We almost we have almost nothing for 2 bedrooms and below. These are the condos, and we don't have many of those. Lot sizes in the West, up to 0.6 acres, we see about 320 price per close per square feet, and then you can see as we go to the acreage, the price increases significantly, and it makes a lot of sense. We are expecting those acreage properties to sell for more. Most of the inventory, this is the amount of inventory sold. Most of the inventory is between up to 0.2 acre, below a third of an acre. That's where most of the properties are. But look at this, 38 properties between a third and 2/3 of an acre. So you have larger lots in the West. That don't make sense. You go towards the West, you're not as dense in population, so density is good. Pools, properties with pools sell for way higher, but it's not just the pools. It's pretty much the property class. These are properties with more amenities, and we're seeing a big difference between the 300 close per square feet for the properties without pool, and I think it's almost like 400 for the properties that are closed with pools. And you can see that the amount of inventory is also large. In April, 27 properties closed with a pool compared to 60 properties without a pool. So about a third. That's way more than what we typically see in areas in Austin. And when we look at year built, we're seeing that the majority of the properties are in the 2000s, 2000 to 2020. And we do see, you see under contract, a bunch of new builds. So these one 2020 plus, 93 properties, these are the new homes. So if you're looking for a new house, a new luxury house, looking at the West will probably make sense for you as long as the budget fits. So that's what I have from the presentation perspective, and now we're going to jump into the tool. I want to take a look and see if there are any questions. There are big differences between the expensive houses, like 35 million, to the cheap, like 300 grand. It's a comment by Samuel, and he is correct. I would say several. I don't think there are many properties under 300, and I don't think that there are many properties over 35 mil. Westlake is where we see these properties. These are not a part of this live stream. By design, I'm trying to separate Austin into areas, and high end, the last area, is where we're going to see these, larger properties that sell for like 10 million plus in Barton, in Westlake, and so on and so forth. And we can also see actually, when we go to the tool, we can literally see how many properties sold per. So if you have any questions, this is the time to ask. If you want to see anything in the tool, this is definitely the time to ask. And first, I'm going to just show you what I'm seeing here. So remember, what I'm seeing is the raw data. These are all the deals in these areas. It's not cherry picked, I didn't remove anything, it's literally everything, there is no agenda here. So if I'm looking at the last 12 months, what I can see, you see that from the peak to the bottom, I'm seeing a price difference of about 22%. So 280 was the bottom number, and now it stabilizes at like 300. And I think that that's kind of where it's at right now. But in the West, because the properties are so different from one another, $300 per square feet isn't necessarily like the best metric to use. We need to look at more, we need to be more strategic about it. So as an example, let's say that I didn't get this question, but if you are my viewer and you're considering to move into Steiner Ranch, maybe you want to look just at Steiner Ranch because you understand that Steiner isn't necessarily the same as the entire West. So let's take a quick look here and see. So 78732, if I'm trying to look what happened in Steiner Ranch, so it's updating. It takes a moment to do it. You need to forgive me. I'm abusing Google spreadsheets. In a moment, I'll see. Aviv Levy, thank you for asking a question. I'm going to take a look at the question in a moment. Spreadsheets, can you move faster? It is so embarrassing every time I do it and move so slow. I really need to engineer something better than this, right? But if I'm looking at Steiner Ranch, and I'm looking at the price differences, I'm seeing that when it peaked around, what is it, like June or May? I'm sorry, it moves so slow, I don't get it. Every time I do it, it's painful for me and for the viewers. Well, good thing that almost nobody watches the live stream right now, right? Okay, so a bit more down. I'm seeing here that like in Steiner, when it peaked, the median price point was about 1.3 almost. And now in Steiner, I'm seeing the median price point being 890. So there's definitely a change. 890 compared to 11202. 30% of the difference is big, but maybe it's just like the houses were larger than. Oh, here it is. So based on 287 properties, finally it's done. We can see a difference between 377 to 255. Wow, this is a big dip actually. 377. Yes, Steiner took a hit from what we can see here. Steiner definitely took a hit from peak to bottom, but Steiner is healing. So Steiner is trending upwards. Steiner, by the way, is a great neighborhood. I like it a lot. I'm kind of surprised by the data. So I wish somebody asked this question, but I asked it and I think it's kind of interesting. Let's look at the questions because I see several. So Aviv is asking, how do you see the prices going up in 5 years and how do you compare the appreciation to North Austin? Wow, Aviv is coming with a hard question and I love it. So thank you for asking this, Aviv. I think that the West is developing rapidly, but and I need to, give you in full disclosure, and you probably know it if you're following me, you know that I live in North Austin, so I have maybe like an internal bias, but I think that the North is developing a bit quicker. However, the properties in the West are typically more luxurious in nature. So as Austin is attracting more and more talent, and if they can work from home, because commuting from the West to downtown or to the North isn't necessarily just, the most amount of fun, I think the West will appreciate, because if you're looking for a luxury house in the North, you're not going to have a lot of inventory, while in the West, you're going to have more inventory. Having said that, I do believe that the North is going to be, maybe slightly better, but I don't know. Oh, it's so hard. I don't want to be the one that sounds like I'm trying to push you towards a specific direction. I like both areas. I think in the north, you have more employment opportunities. You have Indigo Ridge, and I forgot the name of the other one in Round Rock, like the big centers that are zoned and being developed. You have Taylor that is standing with Samsung and everything, so the north has a lot of good things going for it. In the west, you have more luxury. You have nicer properties there. So both areas are strong. If I had to bet, I would bet on the north, but in points. It's not like one of them is great and the other one is not. I hope it helps. Please ask me another question if I didn't help enough. Gal is asking, are most houses in this area newer build or old? If they are older, will they be renovated? Great question, Gal. So if I'm coming back here and I'm looking at the data, I can see, oh wait, why am I doing it here? I can show you in the tool. Check this out. So if I'm coming here and I'm adding some metrics and I'm going to the dashboard, give it a moment. This is just Steiner, and then I'm going to take it to the entire area in a moment. But if I'm coming and I'm looking right now at just Steiner, and again, in a moment I'm going to look at everything, and I'm looking for the properties by year built. In Steiner, we can see that, here it is. Most of the properties in Steiner are between the 2000 to 2020. Some of them are newer. You see 7 properties here. Some of them are older. Most of them aren't super renovated. If you want to get a nice property in Steiner Ranch super renovated, it's going to cost you a bunch of money, but it's going to be amazing and the views are just breathtaking. Now, if I'm looking not only in Steiner, but in the entire area, I let it crash the numbers and I'm just going to move here so I won't waste your time. We've seen before that most of the properties are in the 2000 to 2020. Some of them are newer. Those 2000 properties, even though they are new, they aren't necessarily super renovated. My experience shows that they're not very modern, but they are more modern than the north. They are more modern than central for sure. So all in all, they typically look nice. When I buy a property in the west, typically I do not need to apply a huge renovation. And I'm thinking about like my clients in the west. I think like almost like one of them is doing a renovation, but the rest of them did not need to do anything. It was turnkey. So typically in the West, you can get properties in a kind of a better condition, more move-in ready. Samuel is asking, what about rent? Looks like there are many more properties in the market. Samuel, this is a great question. And I just need to mention something. And it's something that has been recurring again. So I'm considering whether I should just move it, add it to the live stream. Today, I don't really show rental figures in these live streams, because I'm trying to stay a bit more focused, but maybe I should edit. So guys, please leave me in the comments. If you would like to see more rental figures in these markets, please let me know in the comments. If I'm seeing enough comments and they're going to tell me, or we want rental figures, I'm going to build it in. It's a different type of data. It requires a lot of effort to do, but I will do it if there is demand for it. So there is demand, please leave me a comment, say, or we want rental numbers, and consider like the video. And then I will build it, and I will start showing the data as well. So I don't have the data, so now I'm just going to use my brain because I am renting a bunch of properties there. The rental market in the West is active. It is, when we rent properties there, typically they don't stay for long on the market. The price per, like the rental price per the cost of the property, the ratio, isn't always the best. And it's because, and it kind of makes sense, it's typically a sign of a strong primary residence market, which it is. So these areas are typically more geared towards people who own their houses. But, again, once I have the data to crunch, I will be able to show you price per square feet and yada, yada, yada. And you'll see what is the price that you get for your property compared to how much this property costs. So, the more I kind of speak myself into doing it into the live stream, it's so much engineering effort, but I think I'll do it. Leave me a comment though, without a comment I want. Any other questions? Anything I can help with? Anything that is interesting to you? Maybe you live in a specific neighborhood and you want to know what's going on with this neighborhood. Maybe you're interested in a specific neighborhood and you want to see how it's been trending. Let's take a look at Beacon and the Hills, because I love the Hills, by the way. one of the most beautiful neighborhoods I think there are in Austin. I am just a big advocate of it. Like, it's so pretty. So let's take a quick look. Big Ave and the Hills. What is going on there with the prices? How did it react? We saw what happened to Steiner. Did Big Ave and the Hills sustain a similar drop? I wonder. I literally don't know, by the way. Like, I didn't look at the data. So let's take a look. It's going to update for like 5 minutes now and just break my heart. But in a moment, I'm going to show it to you. And I need to improve this. I promise that by the next live stream, the performance is going to be improved by 50%. I don't know how. I'm just going to make it happen. And if you have any other questions, because after this one, after I'm looking at the Hills and Big Ave, if there are no further questions, I'm just going to end the live stream. Let me just see. Wow, it is so slow. Come on, spreadsheet, you're so embarrassing. Nobody will hire me. Like, oh yes, 735 properties. Okay, what's going on? So we're seeing median price point from peaking at 1.04. At the bottom, it was 760, and the bottom, in January and February. And when we're seeing the price per square feet, we're seeing from 350 to 280. Let's see, 280 to 350. So not as bad as Steiner, but we're seeing about 22%. 22% compared to Austin is relatively okay. And also I should mention that this is, the 280 figure is different. Look at this. The median, like the amount of properties, like the median per square feet was way lower here. So it actually dropped more towards the 309-ish. Oh, here, this is the actual bottom. This is like an outlier. So the bottom is 300. So 300 to 350. Oh, wow, 15% is way, way better than the benchmark. So the Hills and Big Ave sustained the drop after the capital costs way better than Steiner for sure, but also just way better than Austin. 50% of a drop is great. A client of mine, Gal Afriat, if you're not here, Gal, by the way, where are you? But Gal Afriat told me that he thinks that properties were more stable in this area, and he was right. And I told him, I'm not sure you're right, but he was right. So, kudos for you, Gal. Okay, last question that I get for now, unless somebody asks me something else. Would you say that the neighborhood you're considering as quote-unquote West are the same segment? Are they comparable? And the answer is yes. The way I try to structure these live streams is pretty much per segment. They are not all the same. Steiner, Big Ave, the Hills, and the River Place and Lakeway aren't exactly the same, especially not Barton Creek too, but they're kind of the same. So that's why I did these segments, trying to cluster in neighborhoods that are kind of similar to a degree. Is it perfect? No, but that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to give you like if you're looking at Big Ave, you're probably looking at the Hills. You probably consider Steiner Ranch. So that's what I'm trying to do in these live streams. And it is true for all the other live streams as well. This is how I cluster the areas. All right. Thank you so much for participating in the live stream. If you have any comments, any questions, if you weren't in the live stream but you're watching the recording and you have questions, let me know in the comments. I will reply to them. I will give you the data. I will share everything that I can. If you are interested in other areas of Austin, join me in the other live streams. I publish them. I have 2 YouTube channels. This one is the English one. I have a Hebrew one if you're an Israeli. I hope to see you on the next one. Thank you so much.